everyone, today we're going to tie the SOS. This is a Western Nymph from Spencer Higa. It's a really cool combination of a few different patterns, and it's going to play with some different really basic techniques, and I think you can play with the colors here a little bit. We're going to play with the wing case a little bit different from the original, and again, this is just a version I tie of it, but it's a great nymph for trout and steelhead in the Great Lakes area. Okay, first off, we're going to start with our hook, which in this case is a 202 from Umpqua. It's a curved shank hook. A 2457 will work wonderful as well. And on this I have a tungsten 1/8 nickel bead. I really like these tungsten beads. They get the nymphs down a lot faster. It's funny when you compare these flies with something with a brass bead. The brass bead almost feels weightless, almost like there's nothing there. I'm going to use some 6/0 in black. And I've already got a few wraps of 0.010 or 015, whatever you got, just to seat that bead, and it's actually going to play into the taper that you're going to see here. I've placed the hook here in a pretty aggressive angle because I want access, a little bit more access to the rear end for tailing purposes. We're going to start our thread right at that lead wire. And that's just going to create a thread dam. Don't worry about building it up. Actually, a few of the materials we're using are going to do that for us. Okay, snip that, wrap about halfway down. All right, first material we're going to use here is the black pheasant tail. You can use a standard as well. I don't think it's going to make a huge difference, but it does look pretty sleek with the black. This pattern was originally tied as a Baetis imitation, so blue-winged olive, which of course we do have in Michigan. But I don't think the fish key on them as much as they do out west. It's really prolific out west. So we'll be tying this in a little bit larger size in this 12 than we'd probably tie this out west. I think it's a really good attractor nymph that fits in that same class as something like the Frenchie or a Prince nymph. You know, it's not quite the right thing. It's not real exact, but it works wonderfully to attract a trout's attention. So gather up your tail fibers here. Measure where you think you want them to be. Sometimes with these curved shank hooks, it's totally a guess and check game. That's right where I want to be, about halfway down the shank. And I'm going to do something here you're going to see a lot. I'm going to spin the bobbin counterclockwise. Since I'm a right-handed tyer, this thread twists as I go. A flat thread for this next step is really going to make a big difference. All right, I'm going to wrap this right back up to the lead wire. Snip that off, great. Out of the way. And then next material is silver wire in a brassy sized. If you're tying really big ones, go up a size. If you're tying smaller ones, you can go down a size, even though the brassy looks really good on small flies as well. Now what I want to accomplish here is I want the end of this wire to match up where this lead wire is. But if I try and do that right away, it's just going to flop off. So what needs to happen is I give myself a little bit overlap, 1, 2 wraps, and start working my way down. I'm at 4 now, and I can pull this wire right where it needs to be. I spun my thread again. Really trying to keep this nice and smooth, because when you wrap the wire on here, it makes a big difference. Especially if you've ever tied a fly like a copper john, you know You know the deal. Spin it again. At this point, I'm carrying my thread up on top of the wire. Spin it again. I know it's repetitive, but it does make a difference. I'm gonna come back down into the bend, and I just want to even out the transition here from really thin to really thick. Just an even transition. Great. Looks good. I'm gonna tie up, give it 2 whip finishes, or excuse me, 2 half hitches here just to hold my thread in place. Utilizing the rotary function here. All right, and I do carry this all the way up, even though this is going to get covered, just because this wire will shift a lot as you tie it off. Okay, and I'm going over the wire and in front. And then I'm gonna bring the nozzle up, give it a little helicopter motion. It's gonna snap right off. Great. Okay, at this point, you almost have a zebra midge. So take away the tail, you have a zebra midge. That simple. I'm gonna coat this back end with some flow from Loon. Just gonna make for a durable fly. I think it looks good too, gives it a nice shine. A little bit goes a long way with this. Grab your Loon light. A little bit of UV magic here. And I'm going to reposition this in the vise. All right, next we're going to grab some thin skin. This is thin skin. This is probably only 1/8 of an inch wide. You could even go thinner with this. Usually I'd use black here, but we got mottled. That'll work fine. Capture that up at the bead, give it some wraps back. I always tend to go a little bit more than you think, but a good reference is back to the barb. See where my thread is? All right. Reach in, snip this off. Don't worry about any excess. We're going to cover that up. Okay, great. Now we're going to add a little bit of dubbing. This is hair and ice dubbing from Hairline. This stuff is awesome. It's really buggy. So it's basically hare's ear dubbing mixed with ice dub. It's the best of both worlds. It's easy to use. Those of you working on your dubbing skills, less is always more. Remember that. But we're going to build up a pretty sizable dubbing ball here. So you can lay it on thick, go crazy. But save yourself just a little bit of space up at the bead. Right, I'm going to add some legs here with some pearl black crystal flash. Take 1 strand, that's all you need. Fold it in half, snip it, fold it in half again, snip it, fold it in half again. No, I'm just kidding. All right, I'm going to tie this in on my side, so I got 4 strands. right at the bead, 2 wraps there, 1 in front. Now you got a crazy hairdo, which is okay. I'm gonna carry this to the far side. And let my thread take 1 good wrap while holding tension. I'm just trying to minimize how many wraps I've got up here. I really don't like when my flies have a giant pile of thread there at the end. Okay, 2 on top there. Cinch it, really cinch that down. Lift it, 2 on top there. Come in. Remember not to snip your thread. Ruin your day. All right, for the legs, if you want to snip them now, you can. This is a good time to do it. Gather them all, and then if you want, them long the back of the shank, but I like them a little bit shorter, so half the way down the shank. Trim. Throw out your excess. Grab your trusty whip finish tool here. Do about a 4-turn whip finish on this. Cinch it in there, nice and tight. Okay, we're looking good so far. Now the original fly used a red floss for the wing case top. I have dozens of those. They still work great, but there's a really cool new product, UV fly finish from Loon, that gives us tons of different colors to play with. So just like thin or flow, just add a little bit of this finish on top. A little bit goes a really long way with this stuff, so fair warning. See that thing glow, how fluorescent it is? That's what we want. And you've just completed the SOS. It's again a combination of the kind of a standard pheasant tail and a zebra midge with a little bit of UV flare. Tie them up, let us know what you think. Leave us some comments down there. Subscribe if you haven't already, and check out Spencer too, the guy that came up with this. Really good fisherman. There's a link to his Instagram down in the comments section or down in the info for the video. Stay tuned for more. Hope to see you out on the water. Thanks for watching.